We're going to be looking at 10 wide receivers that you can get off the waiver wire for week 10 to help you set your lineups, to help you get those lottery tickets for the rest of the season and everything in between. That way, you're built, you're good to go. But what you need to do right now is click that subscribe button. Tap it with your finger on your phone. Click it with your mouse on your computer. Whatever you need to do to get the job done. We're going hot and heavy on the waiver wire all week long. We're helping you set your lineups. We're talking deep fantasy football, dynasty, devy, everything in between. And we're helping you win those trades. Click that button. Stop missing out. Let's look at these 10 wide receivers here. And we're going to start things off with Tank Dell because he went off. He was the hot hand against Tampa Bay. 29.6 PPR fantasy points, saw 11 targets, almost a 30% target share. 222 air yards. CJ Stroud's the man. Tank Dell pairs well with them. And anybody who's running routes in this offense has an opportunity to go nuclear, especially in a plus matchup. We had Tank Dell as a pickup last week. Anytime really when he's healthy and sitting on waivers, he's a pickup because this offense is nuclear. It can really buoy these wide receivers in production. We had a few slower games over these last few weeks because the Texans had some offensive line issues. But still, Tank Dell got it done. In any given game, he could go off. And there's going to be some down games because all these wide receivers can hit in this offense. They're all going to take turns. We've seen this all year long. But Tank Dell's going to get his. Jackson Smith-Njigba is on the come up. He's on the rise. 3 straight games with double-digit PPR fantasy production. Over that time, 18 targets, 21.2% target share. So the target share went up a little bit. The ADOT staying about the same. It was at 4, but 6.4 is still dreadful for an ADOT. We really want that at minimum be around 9 to 10. But for fantasy production, we're still getting volume. We're seeing a trend where his production is increasing, which is a lot better than what it was prior in the beginning of the season. He is on the up right now. He might break out even more this season. He is a talented first-round rookie. He's got 2 other good wide receivers in the offense. It's not a high-powered passing attack. Don't expect him to throw it 45 to 50 times a game. But still, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a talent on the come-up. Demario Douglas is getting opportunity in his last 3 games. 20 targets, 19.8% target share, so almost a 20% target share here. Any wide receiver sitting on waivers who's getting a 20% target share or more is worth a pickup. 19.8% is good enough, especially with Kendrick Bourne out with an ACL injury. You're going to see Douglas getting more opportunities to run a lot of routes. The air yards isn't really there, but he can make that up with volume. 10.5 PPR fantasy points last week. With the way this offense is built, expect him to be up and down, but you're getting targets, you're getting touches, and that's what you want. Noah Brown, another Texans wide receiver. You guys got questions about him, and my take with this team is if you're running routes, if you're seeing targets, you're going to be getting opportunities, and you got a chance for a splash week. He did it last week, 27.3 PPR fantasy points. Also, the routes, the snaps are increasing as he's getting opportunity and some run. 56% of the snaps, 72 in the last 2 weeks. Looking good for Noah Brown. 80.7% route participation rate over his last 3 games and a 16 targets for a 18.6% target share. So pushing a 20% target share, and that's with targets going 5, 5, and 6. So it's not like it all came in one game. Also, when you look at this offense, you want Nico Collins, you want Tank Dell, you want Robert Woods, who was out last week. It's just these wide receivers are a carousel of production, and one's going to hit when the plus matchup hits, and a few others are going to do some things, and you don't know which one, but it's not like you don't want them. So if any wide receiver here is running a lot of routes, getting good projections here, you're going to want him. Noah Brown, you want him as a flyer piece on the back end of your bench in these plus matchups with the Texans, and you might play with them in your lineups here and there, like you would with Robert Woods, Tank Dell, Nico Collins. It's just how this offense is because CJ Stroud's good and he pushes it downfield. Romeo Doubs, I'm not going to talk much about him. We talk about him a lot, but he's getting target share, he's getting opportunities. Same thing like the Texans, but different. The Packers wide receivers split up the workload. You're going to get a guy that hits, a guy that's mid, and a guy that doesn't hit at all. And you know what? Doubs is going to have his days, especially in those plus matchups. The Rams matchup wasn't a great one last week, but still, he has been productive. 17.5% target share over his last 3 games. Good enough to get the job done off the waiver wire. Alec Pierce. So interesting news here. Josh Downs' knee might be an issue. They're looking at bringing in Sammy Watkins right now. That's a bad sign, because if you bring in Sammy Watkins, there's something going on probably with Josh Downs. Alec Pierce is getting a 98% snap share over the last 3 games. Sure, it's 11.9% target share. That might ramp up with Downs out of the picture. Something you want to pay attention to. Alec Pierce is an air yards guy, kind of like a Jameson Williams type dude who you expect to get air yards and be a boom, bust, weak kind of dude. That's Alec Pierce. If you want something like that with that profile, Alec Pierce, boom, bust, splash play, wide receiver. Khalil Shakir, another boom, bust, splash play, wide receiver, but in a different sense. He's going to be like the wide receiver 3 in this offense. They're going to be in 11 personnel more with Dawson Knox out. But still, with this volume, he's going to have opportunities to do some things. So you're going to be interested in Khalil Shakir, especially if you're hurting at the wide receiver position. Now we're looking at Quentin Johnston. Did not look good last night. Sure didn't. 3.6 fantasy points. No one's going to run out and grab him, but he is a flyer right now. And some things are on the upswing. The snaps are increasing by the game, and the routes are increasing by the game. Part of that, Josh Palmer's going to IR. But still, if something like that's increasing the workload of one way or the other, he's now getting more snaps and routes. That Jets matchup was not optimal. The game script with that matchup was not optimal. So in a plus matchup, with him seeing 95% of the routes and 82% of the snaps, you're expecting more than 3 fantasy points. So when you look at that, Quentin Johnston could be a guy in a good matchup that could hit for you. Think outside the box with that one. A good upside stash at the wide receiver position. I just like stashing running backs a lot more than wide receivers. But those are 10 wide receivers that we're looking at as we head into week 10. Let me know which wide receiver you're looking to pick up in the comments below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.